don't like today's horror movies. And that's the subject of today's Idea of the Day. Look, I never was a big fan of horror movies. For what it's worth, I've seen good ones, I've seen bad ones. But what I don't like is that for some reason, horror movies have changed in a way that I just don't think is right. I don't think it's as good as the old horror movies. And I'm not just saying, oh, they suck because only old movies were good. I'm just saying they have gone off the rails. Years ago, horror movies had what I would consider a scary element to it. Like I hear people all the time saying, oh, you should have seen this movie. It's new, but it's scary. It was a scary movie. And I say, well, what was scary about it? Well, they tell you about this and that and the other thing, and somebody pops out. To me, when somebody just pops out and then they play some funny music, that's not really scary. Or if they make the popping sound like bam, and it's really just a cat running across the alleyway. That's what I call a jump scare. That's like boo, boo. To me, that's not a real scare. A real scary movie is where you have a scary premise. A real premise where there's something there that is horrifying and terrifying, and it gets your anxiety and your heart pumping, and it's not the same as boo, like that. That's a jump scare, where you literally jump out of your seat. And when anybody comes out of a movie where there's a lot of jump scares, and they say, oh, that was a scary movie, I jumped out of my seat. That's not what real horror movies are all about. And let me give you a couple of examples. Jaws. Jaws was horrifying. It had a few jump scares where there's something that just popped up. But the very premise that it was something realistic, that while you were in that water, while they were on that boat, there was this menacing creature that was capable of killing and eating people. And that's real horror. That's real horror. In the original, there's somebody, no, I forget the name of that movie. There was a movie with someone will probably write in the comments. There was a movie where there's a woman and she's in the house and she's getting phone calls from somebody telling them, have you checked the children? And she's a babysitter. She kept getting these calls. She calls the police, and I think it was Donald Pleasance or whomever it was. Actually, it was, whoever. She's on the phone, so I'm going to put that in the comments. And then they say to her, well, the calls are coming from inside the house. Now, that's horror. That's horror. There's fright. There's something frightening about it. Even the first Halloween, you had a psychotic person who escapes from his this mental institution, and he's on the prowl. And for those first couple of movies, it was genuine horror. This is something realistic. We have a person who is obsessed with killing, and he's escaped from the thing, and they're trying to catch him. But then over the years, he becomes this sort of a monster that just jumps out at people and stabs people. I mean, yeah, he killed people in the first movie, don't get me wrong, but the point is there was a little difference between a horror and just boo. And I think movies that were of the real horror genre are now a dying breed, where there's a genuinely scary premise then that is more or less has to be based on something that's realistic. Like the as soon as they jumped the shark to me when Michael Myers, the killer in those movies, and even Jason, I guess, were in the first movies. Well, the first one he wasn't the killer, but in the first movies, the first few, they were still human, and that made it scary because he's out there, and it was like, wow, how do we get this guy? But once they reached the point where, all right, they've already killed the character off and they buried them, and now lightning hits them, and now they can't be killed. They've been blown up, they've been destroyed, they've been stabbed, they've been shot in the face. Nothing stops them. Well, that's not the same kind of horror, because to me, it's now they're just resorting to just boom. Like I just did. Did I scare you? See, that's not a real horror movie, and that's today's Idea of the Day.
So hey, thanks for watching. I don't really need any subscribers, but it would really be nice if you hit the subscribe button and shared this with your friends and told everybody how nice it is to be here and how there's lots of nice ideas every day. That would be nice. I don't need subscribers or anything like that. All I need is maybe this chair. And that's it, nothing else. except maybe this paddleball game, the remote control, the ashtray, and the lamp. But that's it. I don't need anything else. Thanks.